In India, there's this one number that really seems to define success. And it's more than just money. It's kind of like a finish line. It's a cultural benchmark that just whispers, you've finally made it.
1 crore. I mean, that's the number, right? The ultimate milestone. But the path to getting there, well, it's not a dream, it's a gauntlet. And the reality of that journey is probably a lot different than what you imagine.
So, what does it really take to earn this? Let's peel back the layers. Forget all the magic formulas and the get-rich-quick schemes. We're about to deconstruct the real, honest-to-goodness path to hitting this milestone. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to follow 3 individuals who actually did it. Each one took a totally different path, through tech, through finance, and through the crazy high-stakes world of startups. And let me be clear, there are no shortcuts here. This is their journey.
All right, first up, let's follow the path of the engineer. This is a journey that starts with a pretty simple dream from a small town and ends up in the boardrooms of global tech giants.
So meet Ishwar. He's from Secunderabad, and he was given the same advice so many of us hear. Crack the entrance exams, get into a top college, and bam, your future is secure. But as it turns out, reality was way more complicated than that.
Ishwar's journey, it took a whole decade. But look at this timeline. See that massive jump between year 1 and year 3? That leap wasn't just luck. It was forged from a really painful lesson he learned right at the very beginning.
Okay, so reality check number 1. After graduating from a pretty average engineering college, Ishwar was acing all his technical interviews. But then he'd get to the final rounds and just fumble. And you know why? His English wasn't fluent. He had to watch as his peers, guys with lower grades, landed better offers just because they could sell themselves better. It was a brutal first lesson. If you can't communicate your value, you're always going to be overlooked.
But Ishwar? He absolutely refused to be defined by his first job. For 2 solid years, he just waged a war on his own limitations. Nights and weekends were for grinding on coding platforms, building side projects, and facing a storm of rejections. He even taught himself to be a better communicator by watching English movies. He was literally rebuilding himself from the ground up.
And then a startup founder took a chance on him, not just for his code, but for something much rarer: high agency. What is that? It's the ability to get things done, period. No excuses. It is the single most valuable trait in the modern economy, and believe me, companies will pay a huge premium for it.
Now, once he got inside a top FAANG company, Ishwar faced a totally new reality. Survival depended on getting high-impact projects, but those were scarce. So he made a strategic pivot. Instead of trying to compete in an already crowded field, he moved to where the demand was highest and the leadership supply was lowest: AI and machine learning. He didn't just join a trend, he decided he was going to lead it. So after a decade, Ishwar hit his 1 crore target. His reflection on it is a masterclass in itself. It wasn't about finding some secret. It was about relentless work, being in the right place at the right time, and constantly evolving to meet what the market actually wants. Okay, so Ishwar's path was all about strategic upskilling. Our next journey, well, it takes us into an entirely different arena, the finance gauntlet. And here, the hours are longer, the stakes are way higher, and the pressure is just absolute. Now, let's meet Karan. He was raised in Mumbai, and his motivation really came from seeing his parents' sacrifices. After landing a really coveted consulting job, he faced his first major choice: take the job and get some experience, or listen to his parents and go for a more prestigious MBA right away. He chose to walk before he could run. At the firm, Karan was a rising star, but his success attracted the wrong kind of attention. His boss started taking credit for his work, and when Karan tried to challenge this, the retaliation was subtle, but it was lethal. He got sidelined, his visibility was totally erased, his career was frozen. It's a brutal lesson right out of the 48 Laws of Power. Never outshine the master. So with his career basically in ruins, Karan made a series of bold, honestly terrifying decisions. He quit. He tried for a top Indian business school and failed. So he gambled everything, taking on a crippling loan for an MBA in the UK. And the path was not easy. While he was studying, he got hit with over 100 job rejections. I mean, can you imagine? Each one a blow to his confidence.
Eventually, one investment bank said yes, but the grind was so far from over. It took 5 more years of 80-hour weeks just to pay back his loans and his parents' debts. His success came at an immense personal cost. This journey wasn't about glamour at all. It was about duty and just sheer, unyielding endurance.
So think about it. Ishwar mastered the system. Karan survived it. Our final story is about someone who decided to challenge the system itself. This is the founder's path, and it is the most unpredictable one of all. Before we meet our founder, let's just be clear about the odds. They are brutal. The vast majority of startups in India simply don't make it. And if you don't come from a top-tier educational background, the numbers are even more unforgiving.
This is Ahra, and her story begins not in a boardroom, but in a government office in Patna, watching her father, who was a clerk for 30 years, feel like a total stranger in a digital world. And that moment of frustration, it sparked a question. Why is digital India so hard for the actual, real India?
So Ara moved to Bangalore, worked in tech, and built a prototype in her spare time. And she finally got an offer, 1 crore in funding. But of course, there was a catch. She had to quit her stable job and go full-time, paying herself a bare minimum salary of 30,000 rupees a month. It was the ultimate leap of faith.
So she called her father, a man who had spent his entire life valuing stability above all else, and she told him everything. And after a long silence, he gave her his blessing. The weight of that trust, from a man who counted every single rupee, became her greatest motivation. Okay, so 3 paths, 3 different industries, 1 destination. And even though their journeys were so unique, they were all defined by a common set of principles. These are the unspoken truths of the 1 crore mindset.
This really reveals the core truth. Reaching this level isn't about finding a shortcut. It's a mindset. It's about embracing the totally unglamorous grind. It's about developing that high agency to just execute without excuses. It's having the foresight to pivot strategically, and it's the courage to make bold, life-altering decisions when failure seems almost certain.
You know, ultimately, these stories aren't really about a number. They're about resilience. They boil down to a single question that you will face again and again, because you will be tested. The only thing that matters is your answer when that test comes. That choice, well, it defines everything.